Welcome. My name is Michael Mastro. I'm with Vastu Creations. I've been a Vastu, Ayurvedic, and Jyotish consultant for over 40 years. And it is my feeling, strong feeling, that mental health is one of those issues that is so important and needs a holistic viewpoint, utilizing all three sister sciences of the Vedas, Vastu, Jyotish, and Ayurveda. Vastu locates where energy is getting stuck in your home or office that can affect your mental health. Ayurveda reduces the physical and mental stress by balancing the 5 elements in the body, which improves mental health. And Vastu reduces the environmental stress by balancing the 5 elements in the home, which is the body of your body, which increases flow of prana, enhances mental health as well as finances, career, and relationships. And Jyotish remedies reduce the planetary stress that affects the mental health as well as finance, career, and relationships. In this diagram on the right, you can see all the different stress that comes from the different elements. Fire, stress from a fire has to do with the solar flares. Earth pollution is affecting us. Air pollution is affecting us. Water pollution is affecting us. All the chemicals in our food are affecting our mental health. And then planetary issues like EMFs and 5G and satellite communication towers, all of these have an effect on our mental well-being. The key to mental health is reducing stress. I was very fortunate a few years ago. I actually first learned Vastu from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the Beatles guru, and it was at his feet. I was helping him design some buildings in Rishikesh that he taught the basic principles of Vastu. And later I utilized those principles to design the first Microsoft building. And a few years ago, I teamed up with Dr. Kouri Chowdhury, who's in the center of this picture, who's a neurologist in San Diego area. And she had some patients that were in a healing process, but had reached a plateau. And so we introduced Vastu and Jyotish remedies and got to present it on Dr. Oz. In the background, you'll see a floor plan of a house, and the 5 elements are represented in each area of the house: water in the northeast, fire in the southeast, earth in the southwest, and air in the northwest. This is a diagram of what could be a floor plan of your house. And you see that the water in the northeast has to do with growth in our life, spiritual and material growth. We feel it as finances. Southeast has to do with the fire element, whether your energy is high or low, and it definitely affects our health. Southwest has to do with the earth element in the southwest and how we support ourselves, from our 6 physical structure to our career. And the northwest has to do with our speech and our actions and how harmonious they are, and it ultimately affects our relationships. And the space element in the center affects the success of all these areas of our life, because space is the mother of the other 4 elements. And if any of these areas of our life are stressful, it definitely affects our mental well-being. So when Vastu takes it a step further to link these areas of your home and imbalances there to different doshas. We have a primary dosha. We're made up of combinations, but we have a primary dosha. And the northeast has to do with the kapha dosha. And if there are imbalances in the northeast, like missing corners or fire elements, it can affect all sorts of obsessive behaviors: excessive sleep, insensitivity, inertia, weight gain, all kinds of food addictions, And one of the Ayurvedic remedies is ginger. Southeast area of your home is associated with the Pitta dosha, and mental issues can arise from anxiety, loss of control, suicide, seasonal affective disorder. And one of the herbs used is gotu kola. Southwest is associated with the kapha also. Has to do with all sorts of obsessive behaviors that affect our mental health, and weight issues as well. Northwest has to do with the Vata dosha, and this affects our mind and emotions, depression, OCD, ADHD, and uncontrollable negative or pessimistic thinking. Ashwagandha and Tulsi and Brahmi are used primarily. And then the center, again, can affect all these different mental issues. Now, there's 7 things that create environmental stress that can affect addiction, depression, mental issues. One is the alignment of the house, whether it's aligned with true north or not, or if it's facing southwest, one of the sub-directions, southwest, northwest, southeast, northeast. The placement of items within there, the house, are very important. The toilets and all the fire elements like stove, fireplace, heater, furnace. The shape is very important, whether it's rectangular or there's a lot of missing corners where energy is getting stuck. And then whether there are energy leaking out, healing energy, mental energy, expenses leaking out the south and the west windows and doors, or if the northeast is blocked by another unit, if you're in an apartment or a hill or another house, or there's not many windows there, the solar and the magnetic energy are not allowed in, and this affects our mental health. Slope of the land, clutter, electromagnetic energies. We're going to talk about all these different things a little bit more in detail. So if you're in a cul-de-sac or just in an area of your city where your house is not aligned to the correct cardinal directions, you can see in a cul-de-sac, you have many options. Some are aligned to sort north-south, some east-west, but some are at facing northeast or northwest. So these many things are possible. And when you're not aligned to the cardinal directions, the longitude and latitudinal lines, the energy field gets distorted and it affects our thinking, our decisions, and our mental state. There are very easy energetic ways of correcting this without picking up your house and turning it. It's basically, Vastu is aligning ourselves with the forces of nature, the positive magnetic energy that comes from the north and the solar energy from the east. Now, placement of items. So we know that the northeast is associated with the water element. So if you have a stove there or another fire element, some energy gets stuck. And we know that the southeast is associated with Agni, the fire element. So if you have a toilet there or a fountain, something, some energy will get stuck there. You see it creates this anti-clockwise movement. All the positive solar magnetic energy always comes through the northeast and settles in the southwest. It splits and it moves around to the southwest. But if there's something placed incorrectly, like a stove or a toilet, that energy gets stuck. And it'll affect the different types of mental conditions that I've already talked about. In the southwest, if you have a fireplace and a toilet, yeah, those are reducing the earth element, kind of affecting, obsessive behaviors. So on the right, we show little yellow dots. These are representing how we do the corrections. These are little energy machines. They're yantras, which is a physical representation of a mantra of sound, and we'll talk more about those. to restore this balance of the 5 elements. And we do it just like acupuncture. Here's a picture of a remodel. This family was doing really well. Everybody was pretty emotionally and mentally stable. And then they put a stove in the northeast and a toilet in the southeast. So these were reducing water and fire and affecting the mental state of this family. ADHD, depression, all kinds of different things that happened before we came in and did the Vastu remedies. It's another remodel where they added a master bedroom wing to this house, created a missing corner in the southeast with a pool. And yeah, this definitely affected a lot of anxiety in the family before we did the corrections as well. So shape is very important. Here on the left, you see in the figure 1, a rectangular building with all that positive solar magnetic energy coming in from the northeast, settling in the southwest. Figure 2 shows a stream with a bend in that stream. Some of the water eddies, stagnates, and pollutes. That's exactly what happens with the energy flow in your house. Figure 3 shows a northwest garage extension and a southeast breakfast room extension, creating missing corners in the northeast and the southwest. Energy is getting stuck everywhere, affecting all kinds of mental issues. And then in the figure 4, you see how we utilize these yantras to separate the main rectangular structure from these bump outs, if you want to call them, to bring back the balance and restore the energy flow. Here are some figures of what happens when energy leaks out the south and the west. It creates more expenses, a lot of mental stress because you have expenses. And then if there's no windows or openings in the northeast, then the finances are affected, and this creates a lot of mental stress. So we have certain remedies to set up barriers in the southwest to keep the positive energy in, and attract the positive energy in the northeast if it's blocked for some reason. Clutter is a big thing. This is also part of feng shui. Vastu is actually the mother of feng shui. It's about 7,000 years older. They both deal with energy flow and stuck energy, but Vastu, in my experience, is much more effective and lasting. So clutter is a big thing, disorganization. This creates a lot of mental stress, and many studies show that productivity goes down. And where you have clutter in your house can affect all kinds of different mental behaviors. You know, in the northwest, depression, in the northeast, food addictions, in the southeast, anxiety in the southwest, all kinds of different addictions, being a workaholic, not having balance in your life, gaming and gambling, all kinds of different addictions as well. The other thing that really makes a big difference these days is earth energies, which we talked about in the Vedas as underground streams, underground channels, fault lines. And then in modern times, we have also above ground these electromagnetic frequencies coming from satellites. Thousands and thousands of satellites are in space, and there are towers near us to produce 5G. The slide on the left is a blood sample taken when someone was exposed to 5 minutes of 5G from a tower, and you can see the clumping of the blood cells. This is what happens with cancer patients, where the blood cells clump. And then after using one of our remedies, which contains the magnetic material, USB or the pendant, this is more a healthy setup for the blood cells. They're not clumping together. So what happens with EMFs? They produce these incoherent waves that change our DNA expression, which can cause cancer and all kinds of mental issues. We have devised, we live right by a 5G tower, so my wife's very sensitive, and we've developed these two products that work perfectly. One is a pendant that contains ferromagnetic material. The other is a USB that plugs into an adapter and any outlet in your house that transforms the wiring into a protective shield to protect you from 5G. The pendant is great for walking around and being outside the house, and the USB is good for. We also have a Tesla, 25 different computers, lots of EMFs. So these USB and pendant work really well. So how does Vastu work? It identifies where stuck energy is and gets that energy to start moving again, and not affecting these mental issues. And it's just like you go to someone who understands how energy flows. It's just like getting acupuncture for your home, basically. Certain mental issues can be caused by blocked meridians. Acupuncturists use needles to get the energy flowing in these blocked meridians. We get the energy flowing in the house by using what we call yantras. Yantra is based on Einstein's theory that everything is energy, and yantras can match the frequency of a balanced, positive mental health energy. And if they're placed correctly, like an acupuncture needle, wherever that energy is getting stuck in the house, they can get that energy to start moving, so you feel much better mental health. One example of the many yantras we use is on the right there. You see there's 9 equal squares containing each a Sanskrit number that add up horizontally, vertically, and diagonally to a certain frequency of energy. That frequency is where the elements are all in balance in that area of the house. So it moves that stuck energy. Dr. Hans Jenny invented a tonoscope, which is something that renders sound into form. And basically, it was started out with 2 copper plates, some crystals on top, and a wire between the 2 copper plates connected to a microphone. One of his famous studies is where he chanted Om, and the crystals started to vibrate, and they formed these triangles, which is similar to the Shri yantra, one of many yantras that we use to move stuck energy. So there are some more, besides yantras, there's more gross types of remedies. For example, in the Northwest, where you have Vata imbalance, there's a missing corner or an extension, and clutter for some reason. And it's affecting, mental issues like ADHD. And chimes are there, and that increases that airflow. Maybe there's no windows in that area. That's another thing that can cause blockages or stuck energy in the Northwest. And chimes get that energy moving. More of a gross thing, but the yantras will work much better. Northeast has to do with the water element, kapha, food addictions, cuts and fire elements, and missing corner. Will affect the water element there. Adding a fountain with moving water, it could be just a little tabletop fountain, can make a big difference to move that energy. Southeast there has to do with the fire or pitta dosha, produces anxiety of all sorts, sexual addictions, etc. And then this can be produced by missing corner, extension, water elements, clutter. Himalayan salt lamp is a more of a gross remedy that has some effect. Southwest has to do with the kapha, obsessive type behaviors caused by water and fire elements and missing corners and extensions, or clutter, and or lots of doors and windows that cause leaking energy. And plants are something that will bring up the earth element. And if you divide the house into 9 equal squares, then you can even refine further different types of mental issues associated with it, like the Northwest, the depression. And we can also use the vibration of different colors in bedding and pillows and accessories and wall colors. Blue supports the Northwest air element. In the North, green supports each of the planets is associated with specific direction, and this is the link between Vastu and astrology. And you can see in someone's chart, that they're having maybe a weak Mercury, and then you look in the house and there's some stuck energy there because of maybe a fire element or some other reason, or a toilet. The vibration color of green accents in this area can help strengthen Mercury. In the Northeast, yellow can be supportive for Jupiter. In the East, orange colors can be supportive for the Sun, where imbalances there can cause ego type behavior, narcissistic types of behavior. In the Southeast, sugar addiction and things like that can be caused by a water element like a toilet or a missing corner extension or clutter. And the rose color light rose can support the Venus in that direction. And then in the South, we have exercise type addictions, wanting to exercise all the time, running, anger, all kinds of issues like that caused by cuts or extensions or clutter, toilets. And rose color there will help strengthen Mars as well. Southwest, any earth tones can support the earth element in that direction. Gambling, addiction to video games and drugs, all of these are associated with that imbalances in the Southwest. In the West, Saturn can affect all sorts of mental issues, control issues, fear and doubt, not trusting other people. All those things can be associated with the imbalance there. And the blue colors are good for that direction, as well as the Northwest. Then another thing that can be helpful is, depending on your primary dosha, let's say your Vata, and if you're sleeping or spending more time working in the Northwest area of your house, this will aggravate the Vata and the Pitta. Southeast, if you're Pitta, if you're sleeping there in that area of the house or working there, aggravates the Pitta. But if you're Pitta or Vata and you spend time sleeping or working in the Southwest, this will help pacify your Vata or Pitta. Likewise with the Kapha, if you're spending time in the Northeast or the Southwest, this can aggravate the Kapha, but by spending time in the Northwest or the Southeast, you can pacify that Kapha. Some tips, remember I said that Vastu is all about aligning yourself to the forces of nature. The direction you sleep has a big influence on how well we sleep and how well we feel refreshed when we wake up. A lot of studies done on this particular study in a hospital, 50 patients recovering from similar surgery. 25 had their headboards to the north and 25 had their headboards to the south. And after 3 days, they noticed that the patients with their headboard to the south had longer and more REM cycles, whereas the patients with their headboard to the north had disturbed sleep, disturbed blood flow, circulation, and digestion. And it's because Positive magnetic energy comes from the north, and our body's like a magnet. The positive polarity is in our head. So if we're sleeping with our headboard on a north wall, it's like bringing two positive ends of magnets together. They repel, and they affect our sleep. The other tip is to align yourself to the forces of nature is the direction you face when you meditate, you work, you do something creative. Another study took 100 kids with similar IQ, had them study and take the same materials. They were divided in 4 groups facing each of the direction, north, east, west, and south. They found that the kids facing north and east did 20% better. They were producing an alpha rhythm. And then the kids that faced south and west were producing more of a chaotic brainwave, a beta wave. So they were getting more stressed while they were studying and taking the test, whereas the kids that faced north and east were aligned with the forces of nature. And especially part of the study showed that the kids that faced north did better on the left brain math part of the test, and the kids that faced east did better on the right brain creative part of the test. Jyotish really is the roadmap for your good mental health, as well as harmony in your relationships, success in your career, and finances, and overall just general good health. So if you know your chart, just knowing how the planets are operating and whether they're strong or weak, and what kind of health issues can come up, and when they are operating, certain timing, you can see how long a mental issue might last during certain planetary periods and transits. It's very helpful to know to just take better self-care during that time. And then what we can do to fix the chart. All these planets are set up in the sky, creating a predestined situation for you to experience certain challenges in your life. But that can all be changed. It's our karma. That can all be changed by just knowing your chart and knowing what remedies to do and when to do them. And every question about life and why certain health issues are there or certain other challenges are there can be seen through the birth chart. So very invaluable tool, Vedic medical astrology. I've been using it for years with great success. So just kind of a recap, you can see the different areas of the house and the different planets and how they affect different types of mental issues: moon, schizophrenia, narcissism, depression, food allergy, food addictions, Mercury, phobia, suicide, self-criticism, nervous conditions. And then Northeast, ADHD, megalomania, greed, jealousy. East, narcissistic behaviors, hypochondria. Southeast, you got Venus there, anxiety, shopping disorder, shopping addictions, cleaning addictions, wanting cosmetic surgery all the time, sex addictions, sugar addictions. South, exercise type addictions, cutting, anger, suicide, control issues. Southwest, many types of depression, gambling, gaming, video gaming, ADHD, all kinds of traumas and suicide, drug addictions, obsessive behaviors. In Saturn, in the West, fear, doubt, self-doubt, distrust of others, paranoia. All of these things can be emphasized in your life by certain imbalances there in each of those directions, and remedies will really help. Here's a case study of a floor plan showing mental issues for members of this family. You can see that there's a lack of windows in the Northwest, creating imbalance there, causing some depression. Then you have a stove reducing the water element in the north, affecting food addictions. And then in the southeast, you have a cut there, reducing the fire element, affecting anxiety, and the southwest extension of the garage, affecting these other types of addictions. And you can see in that person chart, the owner's chart on the right, you have uh, weak placement of sun, reflected by the toilet in the east that reduces, that toilet is water, but it's impure water. So it's reducing the sun and having some narcissistic behaviors. And then you have moon is in old age, more than 25 degrees in the chart. And you see that can affect the depression. And many other things. The Venus is very weak, so that corresponds to the southeast cut, affecting a sex addiction. So many of these are very easily combined when you look at the chart and the floor plan. So it's interesting, when we go into a different dasha period, we crave a different apartment, different floor plan, depending on what that dasha period wants us to work on. In Vedic medical astrology, we identify the prime health indicator, and we'll show what we mean by that in the next slide. And the functional malefic planets affecting the houses and weak planets, and how they all come together to create these mental issues. So mental issues can be caused a lot by the moon, which signifies mind and emotions, and it affects the way we respond and think and decide things. Weak moon can result in schizophrenia, depression, sleep deficiencies, menstruation issues. When a malefic planet aspects the moon in your horoscope, it can cause mental illness. Moon is in the 6th, 8th, or 12th challenging houses that can affect ADD, HD, concentration abilities. Moon is afflicted by Saturn, Mercury, K2, Rahu, or it can affect depression, phobia, suicidal thoughts. And Rahu, afflicting the moon, lowers a person's confidence and self-esteem. Moon afflicted by Sun can cause narcissistic influence. Moon afflicted by Mars give aggressive, anger issues. Mercury has a lot to do with our mind, memory, communication, cognitive abilities. So afflicted Mercury affects nervousness, depression, self-criticism, fickle-mindedness. And, if Mercury's in the 6th, 8th, or 12th challenging houses, it becomes weak, and cause all kinds of anxiety issues as well. Weak Venus affects our desires. And if our desires are unfulfilled, we feel mental stress, which can lead to disorders as well. If the 5th house is afflicted, that affects our concentration, our ability to be creative, and that can cause all kinds of issues. Jupiter is a significator for judgment and wisdom, and if it's weak or afflicted, it affects depression and anxiety issues as well, and all kinds of moral issues that cause us a lot of stress. We don't make good decisions. We're not in integrity. We don't follow the laws of the land. Saturn is also a big indicator of depression and anxiety. When Saturn's in the ascendant along with Mars, or in the 5th house or the 7th or the 9th house, it creates many psychological disorders. Saturn's in the 12th house with a weak moon, psychological issues can occur. Saturn associated with the Lord of the Second or Mars or the Sun, also mental issues. Rahu and Ketu, they indicate past and future trauma that can affect all kinds of addictions, especially drug addictions, and anything we are obsessive about. Rahu's usually involved. Imbalances the 5 elements and the planets, and these are all affect all kinds of different mental states. Water is reduced by some fire element, and OCD. If fire elements are reduced, then you have this anxiety. If the air elements are affected, the mental state is affected, then you have the ADHD and the depression. And ether element is impacted. It can affect all kinds of issues. And the gunas are also involved. So if you look at the gunas, If they're not balanced, or tamas is predominant, all kinds of mental issues can be affected. Your signs have these three categories: movable, fixed, dual, and they all affect the mental state as well. The houses: mental peace is controlled by the fourth house, emotional peace is affected by the fifth house, nervousness is the sixth house, depression can be fifth, eighth house can be all kinds of mental, emotional issues, vulnerabilities, 12th house, feeling separate, like in many suicidal thoughts come when you're not feeling like you're part of everything. You feel like an outsider. Sexual addiction, sleep addiction issues are there as well with the 12th house. And the doshas all have each different kinds of effects. If the vata is deranged, can make you very impatient and instability. A pitta mind can make you anxious, insomnia, OCD, negative thinking. Ashwagandha, Brahmi, Tulsi are good herbs. Get a consult from an Ayurvedic doctor. And this pitta also can make you agitated, frustrated, angry, anger issues, control issues. Then kapha, mind, can make you heavy, feel clouded and dull. And this can affect our mental issues. And all kinds of things like food issues can be related to that. Saraswati, Punarnava, and Chitrak are good herbs. And for the pitta mind, mental disorders, go to Kola, Brahmi, Jatamansi, and Shatavari are also good herbs. Mental issues can cause panic attacks and anxiety. Afflicted first, fourth, fifth, sixth houses, weak moon, all these different types of emotional, mental issues can come by when you have a house or certain planets afflicted in your chart. Here's just a breakdown of different types of addiction. Sex addictions can be affected by the seventh house, Venus, Rahu, 12th, Rahu afflicting Saturn. Gambling can be affected by Rahu afflicting the first, third, fifth, 10th house. Substance abuse, drug abuse, Rahu in the 8th or in the 12th. Food addictions, bulimia, 12th house and second house and moon, if they're afflicted, that can affect that. Workaholic type of issues. Saturn is afflicted, or the 10th house is afflicted. Exercise addictions, wanting to run all the time. First or sixth house or Mars are afflicted or weak. Pain addictions and hypochondria, 6th, 8th, Mars, Rahu, or K2 are all affected. Shopping addictions, Venus in the 12th house can cause that. Cutting type of addictions, first house, Mars and K2 all can be affecting that. Obsessive OCD or cleaning all the time addictions, Venus, Rahu, 7th house. Video games, 5th house, Rahu, Mercury. Cosmetic, wanting to get cosmetic surgery, not feeling like you look right, no self-confidence, 1st house, Venus, Rahu. And then, you can track this different types of behavior by, the different dosha and the different planets and how they affect our mental state as well. And you can see when your sign and the planet that rules your sign governs how you think about certain things, how you get what you want, how you want to be treated. All these can be related to different types of addictions and how we treat ourselves, whether we love ourselves or not, or whether we forgive ourselves for anything that's happened. These all can be traumas that lead to mental issues. So here's a couple case studies of suicide and mental issues. Anthony Bourdain, which is a very successful food critic. And you can see the prime indicator for health in this chart is we look to the first house, no multicorner sign, the sixth house, no multicorner sign, then sun becomes the prime indicator. And you can see in this chart that sun is, well, the fourth house of happiness, let's say, Rahu and Ketu are afflicting the fourth house of happiness, the eighth house of suicide and longevity, and the 12th house of depression and suicide. And Ketu afflicts Mercury in the 12th and the moon in the 8th. And all of these can lead to mental issues that can lead to suicide. This is Kurt Cobain from the band Nirvana. Also suicide, prime indicator here in the first house, we have a multicorner sign. So sun becomes the prime mental health indicator. So we have functional malefic K2 afflicts moon, which is the mind, and that the moon rules the 12th house, which deals with depression and suicide. You have a weak Jupiter that affects digestion and things like that, that can affect our mental state. And I think he committed suicide during a moon subperiod as well. Things you can ask your clients. Is your headboard in the north, northwest, or northeast? Suggest maybe changing the setup. Which way the desk faces? Suggest maybe changes there. And as much as possible, urge your clients to reduce the clutter. Ask them if they have clutter in certain areas, depending on their mental issues. But if the residence is not aligned to the cardinal directions, and if they're missing corners, or if the stove, furnace, fireplace, hot water tank, and washer dryers are not in the correct areas, toilets, etc., then we suggest getting a Vastu consultation for your client. 3 tips to improve mental health: reducing stress in the mind and the body through Ayurveda, walking in nature, drinking clean, pure water, sunbathing, doing pranayama and meditation. Reducing stress in the home and work environments through Vastu consultate with the remedies, looking at the sleep and work positions, and reducing clutter. Then in the karma, your Jyotish, the planetary stress, utilizing the remedies is really important. So here's a free, if you go to this link, you'll get a free ebook on Vastu for success. And basically, if anybody's interested in Vastu consultation, they can contact me personally, go to the website, or text me at my phone number there, 206-661-1117, Michael Mastro, vastu@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to get a Vedic medical astrology reading, or we teach people to do Vastu and do Vedic medical astrology. So you can add this to your ability to help other people. I feel like it's really important to take a holistic viewpoint. Thank you so much for listening. It's my pleasure to speak to you on Vastu, Jyotish, and Vedic astrology.